No, we're talking about franchise leaders in points and goals with Matthews, and his task catching the Dean. It's a big task, but it's doable. But there's another team in Western Canada that has franchise leader by the name of Wayne Gretzky. So
Ooh.
I don't know if this guy can catch some of those records, but we're talking about Matthews. Let's not forget about McDavid either, who, despite not getting as much coverage as he might usually, sneaky still leading the league in points with 106, I think it is his fifth 100-point season by the age of 26. That puts him alongside names like Trottier, Howard, Chuck, Lemieux, and Gretzky had 8. I'm just talking about it's going to be almost impossible for him to catch some of those records, but let's not forget about him. And what do you make of his season so far?
Yeah, first and foremost, it blows my mind that a player in the modern era would get on this 100-point season before the age 26 list. Like guys like you said, Gretzky, Lemieux, Howard, Chuck Orr, these are all like old-time legends.
In the 80s.
In what some people might refer to as the older era, because goals were being scored at a crazy rate back then. Nobody thought that in the new era a player would ever be mentioned in that conversation.
I mean, goal scoring is up. I saw I think the NHL tweeted this out. I think goal scoring is the highest it's been since the 2000s, like in the last couple decades. So that doesn't include the 80s when it was significantly higher, but there's a trend towards offense. So I think we will see a lot more guys putting up a lot of points. And I was listening to Chris Johnston as well. He said there's over 40 guys in the league right now who were at a point a game pace, which is great for the game. And we're going to see more guys putting up these numbers, which is great. More entertaining for sure.
Yeah, so when we see Connor McDavid being put among these historic names, I know I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, could he make a case for being the best player of all time if he keeps this up? So if we break down these stats a little bit, he's got something ridiculous, like 700 points in 500 games. Like he'll get there. I think he's at like 682. He will be at 700 points before 500 games. Gretzky got 1,000 points by that time. But like, as we've been alluded to, the game is just completely different. The one thing that I will say is Connor McDavid is probably the best player in the league in every category except goal scoring. Passing, playmaking, I would give it to Connor McDavid. Skating, everything is around Connor McDavid. As for scoring, Austin Matthews, Ovechkin is there, but let's not forget, Connor McDavid is top 5.
He still scores a lot of goals.
I'll give you Austin, Leon, Ovi, maybe even Kucherov ahead of him, maybe Kucherov.
Maybe, if you can stay healthy.
There's a stupid stat, like Connor McDavid has put up 150 points in his last 82 games. Do you know the last time a player put up 150 points in a season?
Oh, wow. I would have to guess it came before the 2000s.
Mario Lemieux in 1995.
Okay.
Just to see Connor McDavid being compared to numbers like that in a completely different era speaks to the fact that he is just leaps and bounds the greatest player in the league. I know on this podcast we love Austin and we talk a lot about Austin, and while he may be the best player in the league this year, it's not close.
No, I think they're not mutually exclusive. McDavid can still be the best player in the world, but Austin Matthews can be having a better season.
True.
That's 100% valid point. But I don't know how he's sort of... Is it crazy for me to say? It feels like McDavid is not underrated, but he's almost been forgotten about. Maybe that's because we're in Toronto and we have a little bit of that. We're always hearing and listening about Austin Matthews, but he's not even really in a lot of people's heart conversations, and he leads the league in points, which is usually who wins it. I guess maybe this is like a good sign that the voting is trending towards what the trophy should actually represent, but I just can't get over the idea that he's 106 points and he's not being talked about as he was maybe in years past.
It's that argument that we made last episode,
that
when players are this good for so long, so consistently, people start to expect it. And Connor McDavid probably is more likely to be talked about when having a 90-point season in terms of not being good than he is if he puts up 110, because people just expect it.
Yeah, it's like he's being taken for granted almost, that he's just so good. We expect it. We don't even really realize or appreciate what's happening in front of us.
If Connor McDavid continues doing what he's doing, I think he could be the best player of all time. I don't care if he has less points than Wayne Gretzky. It's a different era considering the quality of talent today.
Yeah. I think it's similar to what I said for Matthews, where I could easily see him making a case for the best player of all time. But it's going to be very difficult for anybody nowadays to make a case for the greatest player of all time. When you can't win 5 cups like Gretzky did, it's really tough to do that. Maybe he's got to, find a new team to win those cups, which may be a conversation we can have in the summer, because I think if they have a little bit of a disappointment this year, granted they're second in the Pacific, so I don't want to start like creating this narrative that he's going to leave, but hey, he might have to at some point if he wants to win those cups, just because it's going to be really tough for them to do it out there. Yeah.
The last thing that I'll say is these conversations about GOATs and stuff kind of upset me.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I've never even I'm a big soccer fan, and there's so much Ronaldo, Messi. Can we just appreciate these guys for what they are and not get into heated debates over useless things that have no value? Yeah. I don't know.
It's just crazy to see that what Connor McDavid is doing. We get to experience that in our time as watching hockey. All people out there, quit this conversation and just appreciate greatness. Appreciate what you're seeing.
100%.
Appreciate it.
We're not going to see it again for a while. I mean, there's another guy named Connor coming into the league in a couple of years, Connor Bedard, but it's not fair. He's being talked about similar to how McDavid was being talked about, but it's going to be rare for us to see a guy who can put up 100 points in his sleep every year. And he's heading into his prime now, just like Matthews is. We're really lucky as hockey fans right now.